Good morning and welcome to all who have joined us. My name is Olga Tamanova and I'm happy to welcome you at Media Inform, Ukrinform Agency. Today is 587th day since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of the Russian aggressor of the Ukrainian land, and today we have invited you for the most important event because today we will be presenting to you the All-Ukrainian unity lesson, the topic of which is how not to become prey to manipulation and remain united. All of us are aware that this lesson started last year. Therefore, this time is going to take place in a new format, and that's exactly what we are going to talk about with our speakers. So let me introduce our speakers today. Firstly, this is Taras Shevchenko, Deputy Minister on Culture and Information Policy of Ukraine. Also with us is Christoforos Politis, Acting Permanent Representative of UNDP in Ukraine. Also with us today is Mykola Chernotytskyi, Chairman of the Board of Public Broadcasting. Also Igor Khvorostyany, General Director of the School Education Directorate of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine. Also Valeria Kovtun, the head of FILTER, the National Project on Media Literacy at the Ministry of Culture and Education of Ukraine. So let us talk about the importance of these lessons. Why are we holding them? Despite the war going on, why are these lessons important for us, and why was this topic chosen this year? Thank you. Hello and welcome to everyone. The topic of unity and media literacy, both during wartime and peacetime, remains highly relevant, without a doubt, and I suppose that we have to speak about unity, think and work towards it at all times. Therefore, hopefully, Ukrainians will not come up with the question why the ministry is initiating or joining such initiatives. We have a fantastic team enabling fantastic things, and I'm sure that this lesson of unity will also contribute to all of these grand and fantastic things being done in synergy. And today you can see also a wonderful representation of international organizations present here, various ministries joining this initiative, also the public broadcasting, who is always welcoming any kind of progressive initiatives. Therefore, I'm happy myself that we have such reliable partners in the capacity of UNDP and the Japanese government. Also that the Ministry of Education and Science, which works directly with school children and schools as the primary audience on whom these lessons are targeted, the lessons of unity, although they are not uniquely the target group for these particular unity lessons. So I believe that this will also be an additional building block to guarantee the unity and resilience of the Ukrainian society. When we talk about the resilience of the Ukrainian society, we always talk about this cohesion, and this is something that needs to be maintained. Thank you, Mr. Taras. Now, Mr. Christoforos, the question goes to you. This year, for the first time, UNDP decided to support this most important initiative for the Ukrainian society, moreover, for the development of the Ukrainian children. Why have you decided to support this initiative?
And foremost, this initiative for UNDP represents the basis of access to rights, access to information, but also bringing closer every single person, every single youth in the country, closer to the right source of information. And this is where we believe that this particular initiative, and I would like to thank also Taras for his leadership, but also all the colleagues who are here on the panel for their leadership, and particularly Madame Kovtun in terms of the initiatives of the FILTER project, because we are now currently working on bringing closer all stakeholders around one key principle and one key issue, which is the equation between access to information, which is for UNDP and for all the UN system, and access for right. It's a rights-based approach. Access to information, a more resilient society, and most importantly, a very solid investment in youth, in media professionals, in civil society, in the government, for a stronger vision forward on media literacy. We believe that media literacy is really a building block of a democratic, sound investment during the recovery process.
Я хочу подякувати вам за підтримку.
I would like to thank you very much for your support. Mr. Mykola, we also know that the support of the public broadcasting this year is going to be funded for the first time internationally. So where can we watch it and how will it be broadcast on Suspilne television? Well, it's not for the first time. Let me welcome everyone. This year it's not going to be the first time. Yes, we are in cooperation. We have been in cooperation for a long time with Filter with reference to this particular question of media literacy. And for us, for Suspilne, for the public broadcasting as an element of social security, it's very important that the number of the Ukrainian citizens who understand where secure and safe sources of information are will only increase. This is part of our mission. And this year, this lesson will be watched on Suspilne Kultura TV channel and on YouTube channel, first channel on digital platform. It will be broadcasted. And another important point, something that matters for us as Suspilne public TV channel, is to continue work with the Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Education, and different civic organizations, civil society organizations. And I'm very happy that we already have certain developments with the Ministry of Education and the colleague who has recently joined the team of the newly appointed minister. This is his headache in a way, but we would like to make sure that there will be more content of Suspilne to cover more in terms of education and media literacy. And if you ask school children in Britain what contributes to that, they will say BBC. Thank you very much. We very much hope that it will be exactly about that. So let us talk about the educational component of this lesson. So Mr. Igor, what do you think about that? Thank you for your question. First and foremost, it's necessary to remember that talking about the importance of media literacy in the conditions of post-information era is super important. And talking about that in conditions of the Russian aggression against Ukraine, it's also a matter of social security. Therefore, the Ministry of Education and Science understands that it's incredibly important in the context of the reform of the new Ukrainian school, which speaks for the competencies to be developed within the framework of this reform. Therefore, the establishment of media literate school is one of the priorities for this reform. So this lesson is a fantastic opportunity for school children, their parents and teachers to get united in this act of symbolism. And I would like to reiterate on this particular point, unification, to develop the skills of critical thinking, media literacy, and all of the other components that go along with that. So do I understand it properly that on this particular day, instead of speaking the usual schedule for or timetable for school children, they are going to have this All-Ukrainian lesson? They will be watching different kinds of material on this topic and will be able to communicate about that. Yes, we as the ministry have recommended to educational institutions different formats of going about that. For example, having an educational hour, and during that time they will watch this particular program. Educational institutions are exercising on the basis of their autonomy, so they can identify the format and the specificity of holding such a lesson. Nevertheless, all of the departments of education and science have received the necessary respective recommendations for holding this lesson. And the necessity is to be able to unite. So here it's not just to watch the video, something that I appeal upon all of the educators that will be involved in places, in fields, to conduct this lesson. After watching this lesson, they will have at least 15-minute discussions, reflections, talking through the respective material, so as to ensure the proper result, educational result of this process. Thank you very much. Then Valeria, the floor goes to you. Let's talk about the most important things, the dates when this is going to take place, how this is going to take place, the duration of this lesson, and how you involve the professionals and experts in the holding of this lesson. Thank you. On October the 6th at noon, 12 o'clock, we invite all of the schools of Ukraine to unite in the All-Ukrainian lesson of unity. And we will be talking about media literacy. It's a difficult term. We try to transform it into something more understandable, practical. The structure of this lesson will be as interactive as it can possibly be. There will be tests for the children, for them to verify how well they have consolidated the information and the material. There will be explanations provided concerning what destroys our unity, the language of hate, stereotypes. We are very grateful to IREX experts who were involved in the preparation of this part, and there will be an expert in the studio. And we will be talking about the specific cases when in social media they begin to develop the hate language, how this affects our emotions. We will also be talking about how to verify fakes, how to spread and disseminate content in a responsible way. We will be talking about bots and trolls, about how they function and operate. And of course, at the end, we will check the consolidated knowledge. But another thing, the filter has presented an interesting surprise. It will be announced during the lesson. We are still keeping the intrigue, but we are still preparing it in partnership with the UNDP, and we are very much hopeful that school children will be looking forward to hearing about that. How long will this lesson be? And as for the professionals, can you please disclose information about who they are? The lesson will continue for 30 minutes. And as the representatives of the Ministry of Education and Science have informed you, we want to make sure that this is not just a lesson to watch and forget about it, but to make sure that there is a discussion that will ensue. So a 30-minute lesson and a 50-minute discussion to follow. We want the teachers to kick in and the parents to engage in a discussion, some informal, perhaps, conversation with their children at lunchtime. But we have also sent and forwarded some educational materials on all of the schools that have received letters for us. They have also been sent a link to the recommendations concerning how to discuss, and there are materials very well and highly qualitative filter and IREX materials presented. So our long-standing partners, IREX and Suspilne, have very good, reliable partners participating. Suspilne, UNDP, IREX, and Filter have been working together. So I believe this is a wonderful example of coordinated synergy, and it's a great comfort that such projects are taking place and are being supported. Who is this lesson for? For the pupils of which grades? We are targeting the school children of grades 5 through 11, the senior students, but it can also be a very good material for younger students to watch, because there are elements that can appeal to all grades of school years. So it's supposed to be interesting not only for school children, but for adults, everyone who will be watching Suspilne TV channel at this time. By the way, I would like to encourage, perhaps even now, you will watch a video announcement, and in brief, you will see what the lesson will be about, and you will understand what the structure of this lesson will be. Okay, let's watch the video, and then we will move on to your questions, friends.
У чому наша суперсила?
What is our superpower about? Ukrainians have it intrinsic, inherent in them, and if we learn how to use it properly, then we can achieve anything. What are social stereotypes? There are always facts that you want to ignore, perhaps. What are trolls and bots? They can contribute 100 different writings an hour, which is something impossible for human beings. How to fight them, how to consume information during the wartime. On the 6th of October on Friday at 12 o'clock on Suspilne Kultura TV channel. What is our super strength? So this is a repeat. Thank you very much for showing that. So dear colleagues, if you have any questions, you are welcome. May I? Good afternoon, Tkachuk Svetlana, Ukrinform. I have some clarification questions concerning this event. Could you kindly tell us what particular stereotypes are you going to destroy and debunk during this lesson? Who's ready to answer? Daria, perhaps you. Well, see, if I tell you right now, it will not be interesting to watching, but I will speak in general terms. Right now on social networks, there are lots of narratives concerning the division of the Ukrainians because some have fled Ukraine, others are staying in Ukraine. Some people are overjoyful about life, others are fighting on the front line. Therefore, on the basis of that, we will be presenting several cases to explain how it works, why sometimes they speak about IDPs doing something bad in the headlines of newspapers, and how media can fire and introduce greater hatred towards these people. So very specific and plain cases, but interesting anyway. And my second question, if I may, such lessons are okay, but this is something that happens on just a single time. So perhaps you have some other projects as a subject, for example, something that can run on a permanent basis. Maybe Mr. Igor, you can answer this question. Yeah, I can answer this question in a way. Within the framework of the new standards of education, as of now, we have two standards approved, the standard for primary school and the standard for basic and secondary school, a separate area identified within the framework of working of various fields, societal, historic for primary school. This is the end-to-end line, which is to do with media literacy. So, in fact, this work is already systemically intrinsic at the level of state programs and standards. A variety of different disciplines, there are already integrated disciplines that can be presented. For example, in secondary school, in high school, this can be the course of civic education. Elements of history can also contain that. Also some elements of civic studies, depending on the courses the children will opt for. But the unifying element, of course, these are the expected results of this state standard, and there they have focus on media literacy. Thank you. Friends, are there any more questions to ask our panelists? I don't see any more questions.
If I may, thank you very much. Going back to the excellent question the young lady just posed from Ukrinform, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Ukrinform for organizing such an interesting debate. It is important for us, very much in line with what was mentioned earlier, to emphasize the importance of institutionalization of these initiatives. It is important to touch the lives of people, but also to inform them using the same context and the same terminology of the media literacy, but most importantly to make sure that we're using the institutional systems. We were referring earlier to the educational system, and this is where, going through the project with the ministry, with all the partners, there is a very solid investment in institutionalization that needs to remain a priority. Informing the educational curricula is one element, of course, and a key element, but at the same time, the repetitive nature of these tests, I was very impressed by, and I want to thank, but also to commend the leadership of the ministry, here represented by Taras, on the actual national media literacy tests. It is important for these barometers because it's as if you're putting your finger on the pulse and seeing who understands what and how, and then you track statistics. And this informs actually a more institutional base and a more strategic base. So I think the beauty of this project in specific is that it touches several layers where you're working on a curriculum, you're institutionalizing the curriculum, but you're also informing the strategy and the tools by keeping a finger on the pulse on youth, on the general community, on civil society, on various groups, age groups as well, for you to better appreciate on how to be an influencer and how to actually change and debunk, as you mentioned earlier, misinformation.
Хочу дуже спитати щодо
I'm very much interested to ask you about the deliverables, the outputs, because what are the tangible results that you are setting for yourselves? Maybe the number of views, maybe how many children you would like to get involved in this process. So what are the targets that you are setting for yourselves? Thank you very much for the question. Let me add by saying that in addition to the question, we also have a number of different other social events, the social test that we held last year with 1 million strong target audience, and we would like Suspilne and the National Marathon Telethon to support us in that, and we're working hard on that. I suppose institutionalization is playing a key role here, but also trust. Trust in us, trust between us gathered here, and this is something which cannot be built overnight between Suspilne and the audience. And I suppose we are also helping you to engage the younger audiences and to trust Suspilne television more between international institutions and the government and the civil society. And I suppose that over the last years we have been able to forge this trust, of course not to the best of our ability. We would like to achieve more, but it's something that in Finland has been developing for 100 years. But in our case, this war has expedited these processes, and I suppose that this resilience and cohesion is also playing an important role. Concerning the deliverables, I'm not going to name any numbers. We cannot predict how many views we would like to enjoy, although we are in coordination with Suspilne TV. However, we have some ways to verify and check the involvement. In particular, these tests that I have already alluded to will be able to see how many children have answered the question, how many of them used links, and this will be the way that we will communicate the results. Last year, in 2022, during the Days of Unity, we had more than 100,000 people going on links and downloading different materials presented by the filter, presented by all players in the area of media literacy. This was a fantastic result because the teachers were using all of these materials, and this time the format is different. We cannot compare it 100%, but of course we want to have 100% involvement, and there will be a repeat of this lesson. So if some people fail to watch it on the 6th of October, they can watch it on October 13th. But of course, we would like everyone to join it on October 6th and engage in discussions. So thank you very much, dear friends. On October 6th at noon, please kick in, get involved and share it, of course, with your children and with all of the educators in Ukraine. It would be really fine if they could all get involved in this lesson. I would like to thank all of our panelists. I want to thank you for the interest expressed in this event, and let's keep working together for the sake of our victory. Glory to Ukraine, and thank you very much indeed for all of our forces of defense and security.